Chosen ones, listen carefully. What I am about to share is not for everyone. This message is urgent, and it carries weight. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if your heart is not aligned with truth, obedience, and spiritual depth, this message will not resonate with you. You may even feel uncomfortable and click away. And that is perfectly fine. This message is only for those who are truly chosen by God, those who have been set apart, refined, and called for a higher purpose. If you are still here, it is not by accident. This message has reached you at the exact moment your soul needed confirmation. God has allowed this word to find you because you are ready to hear it. Chosen one, you are not only chosen, you are favored. You are God's favorite chosen one, and there are clear signs that prove it. Some of those signs you have lived through quietly. Others you are still trying to understand. Today, I will reveal why your life has been different, why your path has been heavy, and why God's hand has never left you.
The loneliness you never understood. Chosen one, let me speak to something you have carried quietly for most of your life. A feeling you never fully explained. A weight that followed you even in rooms full of people. Loneliness. Not the kind that comes from being alone for a night or two, but the deep kind. The kind that sits with you even when others are laughing around you. From an early age, you knew you were different. Not better, just different. You noticed things others ignored. You felt deeply while others skimmed the surface. Conversations often felt shallow to you, even when you tried to fit in. And many times, you blamed yourself for that. You wondered why connection felt so hard, why friendships faded, why even family sometimes felt distant. I want you to hear this clearly. There was never something wrong with you. Your loneliness was not a punishment. It was preparation. God separates before he elevates. He removes before he reveals. He quiets the world around you so you can hear him clearly. While others were distracted by noise, approval, and constant company, God was teaching you how to sit with yourself, how to endure silence, how to listen. That is not an accident. That is training. You see, chosen ones are rarely surrounded by crowds that truly understand them. Not because they are arrogant or closed, but because their spirit carries depth that intimidates surface-level connection. You were never meant to be understood by many. You were meant to be understood by God first. Think back. How many times did people walk away from you without explanation? How many times did bonds break suddenly, even when you did nothing wrong? That confusion taught you not to cling to people. It taught you to cling to God. Every departure refined your dependence. Every disappointment redirected your trust. And yes, it hurt. I won't dismiss that. You cried in private. You questioned yourself in silence. You asked God why it felt like you were always the one standing alone. But even in those moments, something inside you stayed soft. You didn't harden your heart completely. You didn't abandon faith. That alone tells me who you are. Loneliness shaped your compassion. You notice pain in others quickly because you know what it feels like to be unseen. You listen deeply because you know the cost of being ignored. You give understanding because you once needed it desperately. That is not weakness. That is spiritual strength. Most people run from loneliness. They fill it with noise, relationships, and distractions. You were forced to face it. And in facing it, you developed inner stability. You learned how to survive without constant reassurance. You learned how to self-reflect. You learned how to pray honestly. That is rare. Let me say something bold, and I want you to receive it calmly. God did not isolate you to hurt you. He isolated you to protect you. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone can handle the responsibility of your presence. If God had left you exposed early, your spirit would have been drained by people who only wanted what you carried, not who you are. Your loneliness filtered your life. It removed those who would have delayed you. It prevented attachments that would have broken you later. What felt like loss was often rescue. There were seasons when you questioned your worth because others didn't choose you. But God was choosing you the whole time, quietly, consistently, faithfully. While people came and went, God stayed. While others misunderstood you, God studied you. He learned your heart. He watched how you responded when no one was watching. That kind of loneliness builds intimacy with God. Not the loud, emotional kind, the steady kind, the kind where you don't need constant signs to believe. You just know. You feel His presence in moments others would call empty. You feel comfort in stillness. And here is the part many never realize. Loneliness refined your discernment. You can sense energy. You can feel when something is off. You can tell when words don't match intentions. That came from years of observing quietly, listening more than speaking, watching patterns instead of promises. You were not lonely because you were rejected by people. You were lonely because you were being reserved for God. There is a difference between being alone and being separated. Being alone is absence. Separation is intention. God intentionally removed you from environments that would have dulled your spirit. He pulled you away from crowds that would have normalized you. He guarded your uniqueness even when you didn't understand it. And now, as you listen to this, something inside you feels lighter. Because finally, someone is naming what you lived through. Finally, your pain has context. Your story makes sense. You were never forgotten. You were being formed. Your loneliness was the doorway to divine friendship. It was the quiet room where God began speaking to you differently. And in the next part, I will show you exactly why God calls you His friend, and why that title was never given lightly. Let me add something deeper here, chosen one, because this part matters more than you realize. There were moments when your loneliness didn't just feel quiet, it felt heavy, almost suffocating. Nights when your mind wouldn't rest, days when you smiled on the outside but felt empty within. And you wondered if something inside you was broken. I want to correct that thought gently but firmly. Nothing in you was broken. Something in you was being preserved. God often hides His most trusted vessels in solitude, not because they are weak, but because they are sensitive. Sensitive to truth, sensitive to deception, sensitive to spiritual weight. Too much exposure too early would have damaged you. So God became your company when others could not stay. He sat with you in that quiet room. He listened when no one else asked how you were really doing. This is why you developed a strong inner world. You think deeply, you reflect often, you feel God even when nothing dramatic is happening. Your faith is not built on hype. It is built on endurance, on consistency, on staying when leaving would have been easier. And notice this, even in your loneliest seasons, you were guided away from destructive habits that consumed others. You didn't lose yourself completely. You may have stumbled, but something always pulled you back. That was God's hand. Friendship protection, quiet correction, gentle redirection. Loneliness also taught you restraint. You don't rush into connections. You don't trust words quickly. You watch behavior. You value peace more than popularity. That wisdom came at a cost, but it is priceless now. So when loneliness tries to return as doubt, remind yourself of this truth. You were not abandoned. You were apprenticed. You were not ignored. You were instructed. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared for a level of closeness with God that few ever experience. And now, as your season shifts, that loneliness will no longer feel like a wound. It will feel like proof. Proof that God was with you long before anyone else understood you. Why God calls you His friend. Chosen one, I want you to slow down here. Breathe. Let this truth settle gently, not emotionally, but deeply. God does not call everyone His friend. That word is not poetic decoration. It is not symbolic language meant to sound comforting. Friendship with God is a position. It is a relationship built on trust, alignment, and shared understanding. Many people want blessings. Few want closeness. Many want God's hand. Few want God's heart. A servant obeys because he is told. A follower walks behind. But a friend walks beside. A friend is trusted with intention, with timing, with truth that cannot be explained to crowds. God calls you his friend because you have shown him something rare. You stayed aligned even when obedience cost you comfort. Think about your life honestly. You did not always understand why God asked you to let go of certain people. You didn't always see the full picture when doors closed. Yet something inside you chose trust over control. That choice matters more than you know. Friendship with God is not loud, it is not dramatic, it does not always come with signs and wonders. Most of the time, it shows up as quiet understanding, as inner restraint, as peace that doesn't make sense to others. God calls you his friend because you don't need him to explain everything for you to remain faithful. Let me say this clearly. God does not reveal himself deeply to those who are unstable in spirit. He reveals himself to those who can carry truth without becoming proud, fearful, or impatient. You have proven, often without realizing it, that you can hold weight without breaking. A friend of God is someone he can speak to plainly, not through fear, not through pressure, but through conviction. You don't need to be threatened to obey. You respond to alignment. When something is not right, you feel it immediately. That sensitivity is not weakness, it is spiritual maturity. You see, God shares his thoughts only with those who will not misuse them. He shares his timing only with those who will wait. He shares his heart only with those who will not distort it for attention. Many people ask God for answers, but they are not prepared for responsibility. You are. That is why your life often feels guided rather than forced. You sense when to move and when to stay still. You feel when silence is required. You know when to speak and when words would only interfere. This is not coincidence. This is communication. God does not shout at his friends. He whispers, and you listen. Friendship with God also means correction comes differently. You are not condemned. You are adjusted. A quiet discomfort, a loss of peace, an inner nudge that says, this is not aligned. And you respond. You don't argue. You don't delay for long. That responsiveness builds trust. Most people need chaos to change. You need clarity. God calls you his friend because you seek truth more than validation. You would rather be right in spirit than popular in opinion. You would rather lose approval than lose integrity. That alone separates you. Let me address something important here. Being God's friend does not mean life is easier. It means life is clearer. You may still face challenges, but confusion no longer dominates you. Even when things hurt, you sense purpose beneath the pain. That awareness changes everything. Friendship with God also explains why you feel uncomfortable in environments driven by ego, manipulation, or shallow spirituality. You can sense when something is performative. You can feel when God is being used instead of honored. That discomfort is discernment. You were not designed to follow crowds blindly. You were designed to walk with God intentionally. This is why you don't resonate with extreme emotional swings in faith. You don't need constant reassurance that God exists. You don't need miracles every week to believe. Your faith is settled, anchored, calm. That is the faith of a friend, not a follower chasing signs. God calls you his friend because he knows your heart posture. He knows you are not serving him for reward alone. You serve him because you understand him. You align with his ways even when there is no immediate benefit. That alignment is rare. There is also something else here. Friendship with God requires honesty. You don't pretend with him. When you are tired, you admit it. When you don't understand, you say it. When you are disappointed, you don't hide it behind religious language. God values that honesty. He prefers real over polished. You don't perform for God. You relate to him, and that is why he relates back to you. Notice how your prayers are different now. Less demanding, less frantic, more conversational, more grounded. That is friendship. You are not begging a distant authority. You are communicating with a trusted presence. God trusts you because you do not panic easily. When things go wrong, you reflect before reacting. When plans fall apart, you ask for guidance instead of blaming. That emotional regulation is spiritual evidence. Many people collapse under pressure. You become quieter. That quiet strength is why God draws near to you. Friendship with God also means shared concern. You feel burdened by things others ignore. Injustice bothers you. Deception disturbs you. You feel sadness for people who are lost, not out of superiority, but compassion. That compassion is God's heart flowing through you. And sometimes you carry that weight alone, because not everyone understands it, but God does. He trusts you with that emotional responsibility. Let me be very clear here. Being God's friend is not about feeling special. It is about being reliable. God knows He can count on you to remain steady when others become unstable. He knows He can trust you with silence when noise would only cause harm. That is why you often feel like you are waiting. Not inactive, just waiting. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for release. Waiting for alignment. That waiting is not delay. It is synchronization. God does not rush His friends. He prepares them. And now, as you sit with this truth, something inside you settles. Because this explains why your faith never looked like everyone else's. Why your walk felt quieter. Why your understanding came through reflection, not pressure. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not overlooked. You are trusted. And in the next part, I will speak to the weight that comes with being God's friend, because trust carries responsibility and responsibility carries pressure. But I will also show you how to carry it without burning out. Stay with me. You are doing better than you think. The weight of being God's only friend. Chosen one. Now we speak about something many never warn you about. The weight. Because divine friendship is not light. It is not casual. It is not something you wear proudly on your chest. It is something you carry quietly in your spirit. When God calls you His friend, He is not giving you a title. He is entrusting you with weight. You feel it in ways you can't always explain. A seriousness that settles over you even in peaceful moments. A sense of responsibility that follows you even when nothing urgent is happening. Sometimes you wake up already tired, not physically, but internally. That is not weakness. That is awareness. You carry spiritual weight because God allows you to feel what others are numb to. You notice when something is off before it becomes obvious. You sense shifts in people, environments, and seasons. You feel emotional undercurrents long before events unfold. That sensitivity is not anxiety. It is discernment. And discernment comes with pressure. Let me say this clearly. God does not give heavy assignments to fragile vessels. He gives them to steady ones. You were built for endurance, not speed. That is why your life unfolded slowly, carefully, intentionally. The weight you carry is the cost of trust. You often feel like you must be strong when others fall apart. You become the calm one in chaos, the grounded one in confusion. People lean on you without realizing how much you already hold. And many times, you don't tell them. You absorb, you manage, you pray quietly. That kind of strength is exhausting when it goes unseen. And God sees it. Being God's friend also means you feel consequences before actions. You can't ignore inner warnings. You can't pretend peace when alignment is missing. Your conscience is sensitive because your relationship with God is close. Disobedience costs you more emotionally than it costs others. That is part of the weight. Others can drift. You feel pulled back quickly. Others can numb themselves. You feel discomfort immediately. Not because you are punished more, but because you are guided more closely. You are held to a higher internal standard, and that standard is not imposed from outside. It rises from within you. Sometimes this weight shows up as sorrow you can't fully explain. You look at the world and feel grief where others feel entertainment. You see brokenness where others see normality. You sense how far people are from truth, and it aches quietly inside you. That ache is not depression. It is compassion without an outlet. You also carry responsibility for timing. You feel when it is not yet time to speak, when silence is wiser, when waiting protects more than action. That restraint frustrates you sometimes because you know you could act, but you don't feel released. Waiting under understanding is heavier than waiting under confusion. And yet, you stay patient. Let me acknowledge something important. There were moments you wished God would choose someone else. Moments you felt overwhelmed by the constant awareness. Moments you longed to be simpler, lighter, less aware. That desire does not disqualify you. It proves you are human. Even the strongest vessels feel strain. But notice this, you never fully walked away. You rested, you withdrew, you questioned, but you returned. That returning is part of friendship. God allows you space without severing connection. You are not micromanaged. You are trusted. The weight also shows up in your solitude. Even when surrounded by people, you feel alone with your thoughts. You process deeply. You reflect constantly. Your mind does not switch off easily because it is tuned to meaning. You don't live on autopilot. And that makes rest intentional, not accidental. God's friends must learn how to rest consciously, not through escape, but through surrender, not through numbing, but through trust. You are learning that now, slowly, imperfectly, but sincerely. Another part of the weight is restraint in response. You often see clearly when others are wrong, but you don't always correct them. You choose peace over proving. You choose wisdom over reaction. That self-control costs you something internally, but it preserves alignment. You are not called to fix everyone. You are called to remain faithful. God's only friend does not mean you are the only one he loves. It means you are one of the few he trusts with his silence, his patience, and his timing. That trust is heavy because it requires maturity without applause. You don't receive constant validation. You don't get frequent reassurance from people. Your reward is inner peace, not external praise. And sometimes that feels unfair. But peace lasts longer than applause ever could. There is also a weight of expectation you place on yourself. You expect yourself to grow, to heal, to respond better, to stay aligned. That pressure is not from God alone. Some of it is from your own integrity. You know who you are called to be, and you don't want to betray that. That internal standard is heavy, but it is also noble. Let me ground you here. You are not meant to carry this weight alone. Friendship with God does not mean independence from God. It means partnership with Him. When the weight feels too heavy, it is an invitation to lean deeper, not push harder. God never intended you to carry divine responsibility without divine rest. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to say, "I am tired." You are allowed to step back without guilt. God does not measure your worth by productivity. He values your presence. And here is something you need to hear. The weight you carry now will not always feel this heavy. As you grow, your capacity expands. What once felt overwhelming will feel manageable. What once felt lonely will feel purposeful. You are not being crushed. You are being strengthened. This weight is shaping your authority, your wisdom, your stability. It is forming you into someone who can stand calmly when others panic. Someone who can speak peace without forcing it. And in the next part, I will explain why so few people understand this weight you carry, and why that misunderstanding is not a failure on your part. Stay with me. You are not weak for feeling this weight. You are strong for carrying it with grace. Why others can't understand your walk. Chosen one, there is a reason you often feel misunderstood, even by people who love you. A reason your decisions confuse others. A reason your pace feels strange to those around you. This is not because you are unclear. It is because you are walking with God, and most people are walking with expectation. You move according to alignment, not pressure. Others move according to urgency, validation, or fear. That difference alone creates distance. People who cannot hear what you hear will never understand why you wait. People who cannot feel what you feel will never understand why you step back. They interpret your discernment as hesitation. your silence as withdrawal, your depth as seriousness. But they are not walking your path. Let me say this with calm authority. You are not responsible for being understood by those who are not aligned. Most people experience life externally. You experience it internally first. You process before you act. You sense before you speak. That internal orientation makes your walk invisible to those who only recognize movement they can see. This is why advice often feels off to you. People mean well, but they speak from their level of awareness. They offer solutions to problems you are not trying to solve. They push you to act when God is asking you to wait. And when you don't follow their counsel, they assume you are stubborn or fearful. You are neither. You are discerning. Your walk requires a different pace because your decisions carry different weight. You don't make moves lightly. You don't commit without clarity. You don't attach without peace. That carefulness frustrates people who are comfortable with risk but unfamiliar with responsibility. And let me tell you something important. The more aligned you become with God, the fewer people will be able to walk beside you. Not because you are superior, but because the path narrows as purpose deepens. This narrowing can feel painful. You may grieve connections that fade. You may wish someone could understand without explanation. But clarity is not always transferable. Some things must be lived to be understood. People who are not called to your depth will experience your silence as distance. They will project their insecurities onto your restraint. They may say you have changed. And they are right. You have. Growth always creates tension with familiarity. You are no longer driven by approval. You are no longer easily swayed by emotion. You are no longer available for chaos. That stability unsettles those who rely on reaction and drama to feel alive. And because they cannot access your inner world, they fill the gap with assumption. Let that go. You do not need to explain every decision. You do not need to justify every pause. You do not need to defend your peace. God understands your walk, and that is enough. This does not mean you isolate yourself. It means you choose discernment over overexposure. You allow people access to you according to their capacity to respect your spirit. That is wisdom, not arrogance. There is also a spiritual frequency difference at play. You are tuned to meaning. Many are tuned to outcome. You care about why something happens, not just what happens. That difference affects conversation, values, and priorities. This is why small talk drains you. This is why superficial engagement feels empty. This is why environments driven by ego or competition exhaust you. You are wired for substance, and substance requires space. People who cannot understand your walk often interpret your boundaries as rejection. But boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They allow what nourishes to enter and what drains to stay out. You learned boundaries the hard way. Through burnout, through overgiving, through staying too long in spaces that depleted you. That learning changed you. And some people preferred the version of you that did not protect themselves. That does not mean you were wrong to grow. Another reason others can't understand your walk is because you listen inwardly more than outwardly. You trust conviction over consensus. When God gives you peace, you don't need 10 opinions to confirm it. That independence of spirit is rare. Most people crowdsource their decisions. You internalize yours. And because they cannot see your inner process, they assume there is none. But there is. Deep, careful, prayerful. You also carry restraint in speech. You don't speak on everything you see. You don't correct every wrong. You don't reveal everything you know. That restraint is often misinterpreted as passivity or disinterest. In reality, it is self-mastery. Not every truth needs a voice. Not every insight needs an audience. God teaches his friends when to speak and when to remain silent. You are learning that balance. Let me free you from something here. You are not failing because others don't understand you. You are succeeding because you no longer need them to. Understanding will come from those assigned to your life, from those aligned with your spirit, from those who walk at a similar depth. Until then, Peace must be enough. You were not designed to be accessible to everyone. You were designed to be faithful to God. As you mature in this truth, misunderstanding will bother you less. You will stop internalizing assumptions. You will stop shrinking to be digestible. You will allow people to misunderstand without correcting them. That freedom is powerful. And in the next part, I will show you how God actually speaks to his friend. Not through noise, not through fear, but through a language your spirit already understands. Stay with me. Your walk is clearer than you think. How God speaks to his friend. Chosen one. Now let me bring you into something intimate, something quiet, something sacred. God does not speak to his friends the way he speaks to crowds. He does not rely on noise. He does not force attention. He communicates in ways that require closeness to recognize. If you have ever wondered why you don't hear God the way others describe, hear me carefully. God is speaking to you. He just speaks to you differently. God speaks to his friend through inner knowing, through clarity that arrives without panic, through conviction that does not shout but settles. You don't always hear a voice, but you feel alignment. You sense peace or unease before logic catches up. That is communication. When God speaks to you, it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels certain. You have experienced this before. A moment where something simply felt right, even when it didn't make sense. Or a moment where something looked good on the outside, but your spirit resisted it quietly. You couldn't explain why. You just knew. That knowing is not instinct alone. It is relationship. God trusts you enough to guide you subtly. Friends don't need to be commanded. They understand intent. This is why guilt-based religion never worked for you. Fear never motivated you for long. You respond to truth, not threat. When something is not aligned, your peace leaves. When something is right, your spirit settles. That internal compass is God's voice in you. God also speaks to his friend through restraint, through the pause, through the closed door that feels protective instead of punishing. When God tells you no, it doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like redirection. You may not like it immediately, but you respect it. That respect comes from trust. You have noticed that God often speaks when you are calm, not frantic, in still moments, in reflection, in quiet prayer, in solitude. You rarely receive clarity in chaos. That is because God values your mental and emotional state. He waits until you are receptive, not reactive. This is why your life often slows down before major insight. You withdraw. You become quieter. You reflect more. That is not withdrawal from life. That is preparation for understanding. God also speaks through patterns. You notice repetition, themes that keep returning, lessons that circle back until integrated, people who mirror parts of you, situations that test the same area again, but at a deeper level. God is patient. He teaches until truth becomes part of you, not just information you remember. Another way God speaks to his friend is through peace that defies logic. You may be in uncertainty, but not in fear. You may be waiting, but not anxious. That calm is not denial. It is trust, and it comes from communication that happens beneath thought. This is why you don't chase signs aggressively. You don't need constant confirmation. When God speaks to you, it stays with you. It doesn't evaporate under pressure. It anchors. God also speaks to his friend through discomfort, not anxiety, but misalignment. A quiet resistance when something is wrong, a heaviness when compromise approaches. You cannot ignore it for long. It follows you until addressed. That is God protecting the friendship. Others can override their conscience repeatedly. You cannot. Not without emotional cost. That cost is not punishment. It is correction born from closeness. You have also noticed that God speaks to you through sudden clarity after confusion. Long periods of not knowing, followed by a simple understanding that changes everything. That is how God trains patience. He does not overwhelm you with answers. He gives you what you need when you are ready to carry it. And when clarity comes, it feels relieving, not exciting. Excitement fades, relief remains. God also uses silence with his friend. And this part is important. Silence does not mean absence. Silence means trust. God knows you will not fall apart without constant reassurance. He knows you will remain aligned even when communication is minimal. That silence grows you. It strengthens your faith beyond dependency. You learn to stand without constant confirmation. You learn to trust what has already been revealed. That is maturity. Sometimes God speaks to you through people, but rarely directly. Often through observation, through what you notice rather than what is said. You pick up on tone, behavior, intention. God sharpens your perception because he knows you can handle truth without becoming cynical. You don't become bitter, you become clearer. God also speaks through restlessness when it is time to move. You may feel unsettled even when things look fine. That is not ingratitude, it is transition. God stirs you gently before he shifts you externally. He prepares you internally first. Friends receive preparation before change. Let me say something grounding here. You do not need to hear God the way others do to be legitimate. Comparison will only confuse you. God customizes communication. He speaks to you in a way that matches your temperament, your capacity, your calling. You are reflective, so he speaks through reflection. You are sensitive, so he speaks through feeling. You are discerning, so he speaks through subtlety. And because of this, your relationship with God feels personal, not performative. You don't need to announce what God told you. You don't need to convince others. You don't need to prove spiritual experiences. You live from them quietly. That quiet obedience is powerful. God trusts you with this level of communication because you don't abuse it. You don't dramatize it. You don't weaponize it. You integrate it. And when you miss something, God does not shame you. He corrects you gently. He allows consequences to teach without destroying you. That grace is part of friendship. So if you have ever doubted whether God is speaking to you, let that doubt rest now. He is. He always has been. You just learn to listen differently. And in the next part, I will show you how to live as God's friend in a world that does not operate at your depth. How to stay grounded, protected, and effective without burning out or becoming bitter. Stay with me. You are hearing God more clearly than you realize. Living as God's friend in a broken world. Chosen one, this is where wisdom must become practice. Friendship with God is not meant to remove you from the world. It is meant to stabilize you within it. You were not called to escape life. You were called to walk through it differently. Living as God's friend in a broken world requires balance, not withdrawal, not overexposure. Balance. You already know the world is loud, demanding, reactive. It rewards urgency, noise, and appearance. But you are not wired for that pace. When you try to live like everyone else, your spirit becomes tired quickly. That is because your alignment is inward, not external. So the first thing you must accept is this. You cannot live on the world's terms and remain at peace. You must live intentionally. Living as God's friend means you move slower than pressure demands, but faster than fear allows. You don't rush, but you don't hide. You wait for clarity, then act with conviction. That rhythm protects your energy. You have learned, sometimes painfully, that overgiving leads to depletion. Saying yes to everything leaves nothing for what truly matters. God's friends must learn to steward themselves, not selfishly, wisely. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to rest without apology. You are allowed to step back without explaining yourself. God does not measure your faithfulness by exhaustion. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Living as God's friend also means you let God defend you. This is difficult at first because you see clearly. You notice injustice. You recognize misrepresentation. And the urge to correct, explain, or confront rises quickly. But God often asks you to be still. Not because you are wrong, but because vindication handled by God is cleaner than vindication handled by ego. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to clear your name in every room. God knows the truth. That is enough. This restraint keeps your spirit light. You also learn to walk humbly without shrinking. Humility does not mean denying who you are. It means not forcing it on others. You don't need to announce your depth. Those who are aligned will recognize it. Those who are not will misunderstand it. Both outcomes are acceptable. Living as God's friend means choosing peace over proving. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop trying to be palatable to environments that were never designed to hold you. You let go of being liked. You choose being aligned. This does not make you cold. It makes you clear. You still love. You still care. But you love without attachment. You care without depletion. You remain kind without being available to misuse. That emotional regulation is spiritual maturity. Another part of living as God's friend is learning to stay grounded in the present. You don't live in constant anticipation of what's next. You don't obsess over future assignments. You focus on obedience in front of you. God reveals the next step when the current one is integrated. You have learned that rushing ahead creates confusion. Staying present creates clarity. So you slow your mind, you breathe, you observe, you stay anchored. You also stop absorbing collective anxiety. The world is often fearful, angry, divided. You feel it, but you don't carry it. You have learned to differentiate between compassion and responsibility. You can care without internalizing. That boundary protects your peace. Living as God's friend means you curate your inputs, what you watch, what you listen to, who you spend time with. You are sensitive, and sensitivity requires discernment. Too much exposure to chaos disrupts your inner alignment. So you choose simplicity. You choose environments that nourish rather than stimulate. You choose conversations that build rather than drain. You choose solitude when needed and community when aligned. You no longer chase connection. You allow it. God also teaches you to trust seasons. Some seasons are for building, some for resting, some for releasing, some for preparing. You stop forcing consistency where God intends contrast. You flow with timing rather than resisting it. This flexibility keeps you emotionally healthy. Living as God's friend also means accepting that you will be misunderstood by systems driven by image and performance. You don't fit neatly into boxes. You don't conform easily. You value substance over appearance. That will always create friction. You stop fighting that. You don't rebel aggressively. You don't conform quietly. You exist steadily. That steady presence is disruptive in the best way. People notice your calm, your groundedness, your clarity. They may not understand it, but they feel it. And sometimes, without saying a word, you shift a room simply by being there. That is influence without effort. You also learn to let go of urgency. God's friend does not panic when things take time. You trust process. You trust growth. You trust alignment. You know that what is meant for you will not require desperation. You stop chasing outcomes. You focus on faithfulness. And here is something important. Living as God's friend does not mean you never feel tired, discouraged, or uncertain. It means you don't stay there. You rest. You recalibrate. You return to center. You know how to come back to yourself. You pray differently now. Not out of fear, but alignment. Not to ask God to fix everything, but to adjust you to what is true. That prayer keeps you steady. You also learn to celebrate quietly. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every victory needs applause. Some moments are sacred. You keep them between you and God. That intimacy sustains you. As you live this way, something subtle but powerful happens. You become unshakable, not rigid, grounded. Life still moves, challenges still come. But you are not thrown off balance easily. You know who you are. You know who walks with you. And you know that even in a broken world, you are not broken. You are positioned. In the final part, I will bring all of this together and speak rest over you. Not instruction, not warning, rest. Because God's friend must know how to stop striving and simply be. Stay with me. You are closer to peace than you think. Conclusion. Rest. You are known by God. Chosen one, let everything settle now. You don't need to analyze this moment. You don't need to do anything with it. Just let it rest in you. What you heard today was not meant to excite you. It was meant to steady you. You are known by God, fully, honestly, without confusion. He knows your intentions, your quiet struggles, your private strength. He knows how much you have carried without recognition, and he has never mistaken your silence for absence or your patience for weakness. You were never walking alone. You were walking with him. Being God's friend does not require striving. It requires trust. You don't need to prove your faith. You don't need to rush your growth. You don't need to compare your walk to anyone else's. God is not disappointed in your pace. He is present in it. Rest here. Let go of the pressure to figure everything out. Let go of the need to explain yourself. Let go of the fear that you are behind. You are not late. You are aligned. What is meant for you will meet you without force. Your job is not to carry the future. Your job is to remain faithful today. As you move forward, choose peace over noise, clarity over urgency, presence over performance. God will guide you as he always has, quietly, faithfully, personally. If this message resonated with your spirit, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share it with other chosen ones who need this confirmation. And comment 777 below as a declaration that you are resting in alignment and trusting God's timing. Remain steady, remain humble, remain open. You are God's friend, and you are exactly where you need to be.